So I was today years old, whatever the hell that means, when I found out that Ken Griffey Jr. is a credentialed sideline sports photographer. He's been on the sidelines of NFL games, Major League Baseball. I think he's walking the Masters and the Ryder Cup even this weekend. Did not know. Which, of course, sent me down that rabbit hole of other famous people that had secondary careers, passions in photography. I think I remember Kenny Rogers. Remember him, the old country singer? He shot portraits of a lot of famous people. I think he had a book. I kind of liked it when Kenny Rogers looked like this, much more than when he looked like this. I don't know if you've ever seen the wide lux photos that Jeff Bridges has taken with that camera right there, but wow, it's an incredible set of photographs he's produced. I think he's more of a photographer than he is an actor. Don't know if you follow the Instagram account of Jason Momoa, but some really incredible moody black and white photos. And he collects old style vintage cameras, something else me and Mr. Momoa have in common. One of my favorite rockers of the 80s and 90s, Bryan Adams, a really accomplished photographer. Portraits and fashion has shot both Kate Moss and Queen Elizabeth. Lenny Kravitz, father-in-law of Jason Momoa, pretty good photographer in his own right, I think is the one that turned Jason onto photography and Leica cameras. Brad Pitt does a lot of film shooting, had a set in W Magazine with his former wife, Angelina Jolie. Here's the last photograph Brad Pitt ever took of Angelina. I had forgotten that Paul McCartney is a big-time photographer, even published his own book about photography. And of course, his wife, Linda Eastman McCartney, the famous Eastman Kodak company, an assumption a lot of people made because she was always carrying a camera and a photographer, had no relation to the actual Eastmans of the Eastman Kodak company. Ringo Starr, one of the most accomplished photographers, shot one of the most iconic rock and roll photos of all time. When a bunch of fans pulled up next to his limousine, he leaned out and took this picture, which they recreated a bunch of years later. That's incredible. Kind of obvious that Dennis Hopper might go from playing an accomplished war photographer in the movie Apocalypse Now to a guy that takes pretty good photos himself. Elijah Wood, I didn't know anything about Elijah Wood other than he'd been in a couple of movies, but he's an accomplished photographer. I mean, if that doesn't prove it right there, I don't know what does. And Frank Sinatra took one of the most iconic photos in sports history of that fight right there between Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier. So that's pretty cool that all these people were interested in photography as much as they were. Kind of surprising. I kind of like this did you know thing. How about next week? Did you know famous women who you didn't know have really big tits?